All right, so this is the practice for stomach washing, Uddiyana Bhanda, and again, key important things is when you exhale, we're holding the breath on the exhale, and you don't want to come up. You don't want to hold your breath too long because that's causing a himsa to your lungs. If you're coming up and you're like, that's bad. That means you held your breath too long. So part of this is we're learning how to hold the breath on the exhale, and part of your reflex system is like, oh, I want to take a breath in. It's learning to relax that, like learning how to relax into death and dying in the physical body, and so we can merge beyond it. So it's part of like working through some of the egoic grasp that we have, grasping. So how this starts is we're going to start by massaging the stomach from right to left, the way the digestion goes. And I do my left hand over right, and I'm using the fleshy part of my thumb to massage. And if you feel like you had some bad food the night before, then you can stop and maybe do a little bit deeper massage. And then we're going to move into the lymph nodes here, so we're cleansing this and pushing any stuck energy here. And you're bending the knees because we're going to move into a squat. Then we're bringing blood flow down to the knees, and then some circles over the knees. And then the shin bones are kind of massaging here. So it's kind of like this self-love practice too. And then we come down into a squat. So ideally you want the toes pointed forward because we're working the inner arches of the feet, and you want your knees as wide, so we're opening up the hips. The fingers interlace and we slowly extend as we lifting through the head. And here's an inhale. And then we bend the elbows, and then exhale, and the head comes down, and the hands are at the occipital ridge here. So there's things here, when we're sitting here, the breath, we inhale, expands out, and then when you exhale, you're pulling the belly in to build the energy here. So I'll do that for... And after that exhale, as you hold the breath, then we come up into a forward fold. And the same, you take a few breaths in this position while you're relaxing. So with the hands here, it makes it longer so that you get a longer spine in this position while you're breathing. And everything is relaxed. Here you can also massage the back of the neck if you like. And after you do a few breaths, on the exhale, we're going to roll up halfway. And then from here, then we start to inhale as the arms come all the way up. And it's important in this position that we're lifting from the serratus, and we're not arching. You want to try to keep this open shoulder while you're bringing the arm back without arching. So that's important. From that position as we come down, retention, and inhale, slow. And then retention, exhale as the hands come over the rib cage. And this, while we're here, you want to practice a few minutes of learning to inhale deeply. So you want to try to get up to like 10 seconds at first, and the progression would be to 20 and 30. Hopefully maybe up to a minute on an inhale, and then minute exhale. So a lot of these practices we're breathing into the belly, but this one is you want to be focusing on the rib cage. Now this whole practice that I just showed is about catching your breath and your breathing, because we're going to do the exhale, and this is the stomach part of sucking in. The first level is just learning to have the vacuum and bring the stomach in. And I'll demo that now. So it's a deep inhale. Forceful exhale through the teeth, Shitali. So all of that is on the retention of the breath. You're suctioning in the throat chakra, so that's massaging the thyroid. So people who have thyroid problems, it's going to help to fix that. When you're suctioning in, you're also massaging the kidneys, which is purifying the kidneys and the blood. And also the suction of in, you're pulling in the stomach, so you're purifying the stomach and also building your chi there. So after that takes a lot of energy, then we go back to the massaging, like 5 circles with the stomach. Now we're catching our breath. Massage 5 times. 4, 5. Groins. 2, 3, 4, 5. Thighs. Now I'm just going to do the practice and I won't talk it out. So that's the basic, just learning to get that suction in. And like I mentioned earlier, that'll take about 1 month on if you're doing it 2 to 3 times a week for 15 to 30 minutes. And now I'm just gonna show the other variations of the suction for the stomach. I won't go through the whole practice. The whole practice is the same, just the stomach variations are different of the suction. So that first one, we wanna practice for the hand position is important. The fingers are right over the knees, so it prevents you from sliding off. And you're also resting in like this huddle pose. The chin is down, so you're looking towards your stomach to seeing if it's happening. That's also important. Now I'll show the second variation. I'm just going to do the breathing part and doing the vacuum. So again, I'm going to inhale. So that variation is while retaining the breath, we are arching, so you're stretching the front of the body to open up here. And also you're creating the vacuum a little bit deeper by rounding a little bit. And so you're going back and forth while you're holding. Also another key component, the tongue is to the top of the throat. So you're also stretching the tongue at the same time. I do this ending with this just to help bring the energy up and then ground it down with the exhale. So that's the second variation. Third variation is just having the stomach really soft and going in and out. So I'll demo that now just with the breathing. So this is more of a stomach washing. It's really relaxed and it's pliable, and you want your stomach to be like this while you're sucking it in and out while you're retaining the breath. So all of this is important. You're not breathing. You're retaining the breath, relaxing, and creating this vacuum of sucking in and out to purify the belly and organs, and building your fire. So the last one, first off, the arm positions are different. It's in. This one was like this. Now we're going to bring the hands right below the hip bones, palms in, and we're going to press up to create extension space here through the hip and rib cage. So the same breathing, we're going to inhale, exhale, retaining, coming up, hand position different. So I'll show the variation here. So this is the first variation before we start to roll the stomach, is just you want to be able to create the vacuum and then you're pushing the stomach out. They're just the rectus abdominis. But you can't start there until you get the deep vacuum of being able to really suck it in deep. Then it's easier to push it out afterwards. And once you can push it out, then we slowly roll to the left and we'll roll to the right. I like to finish with rolling to the left because that's where digestion goes. So I'm always going to try to end with rolling on the left, ideally. So I'll demo that now. Another key component is all these details to this practice, they're very small. When I inhale here, there's a slight swallowing because there's an elixir here in the pituitary that we're swallowing and we're bringing it down into our reserve. So there's that swallow and before the exhale. So that's another key component. The other component is when you do start your inhale, you want to keep the stomach in. You don't want the stomach to come out. Example. You want to keep the vacuum in all the way up till you exhale. That's why you don't want to hold your breath too long if you don't have the capacity to hold your breath on the exhale, and I'll show you the wrong way of doing that. So it's you're causing harm to the lungs, and a lot of people are going to hold their breath longer than they're capable of, and then you're going to do that, and that's a bad, don't do that. So that's the progression. That's how it's done. I would start with like 2 to 3 times a week. First thing in the morning, no food. Good luck with developing your practice for internal power and chi and digestion and building your inner fire.